Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Wednesday. I hope the week is going well wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. I hope you're enjoying the Euros. What a cracking day it was. Only 2 games yesterday, but my word, that Turkey versus Georgia game is about 4 matches rolled into one. Hands down, the best game of the tournament. Absolutely brilliant. That is what football is all about. The atmosphere, the action, the attacking intent of both teams, quality goals, dramatic ending. Yeah, my favourite game of the tournament by an absolute mile. Hopefully some of the games later on today can live up to that. Not too much news doing the rounds at the moment, but still got plenty of questions and comments and opinions from you guys that we're going to talk about in today's show. And just to flag that myself and Team News and Ticks will be sitting down a little bit later on today to pre-record tomorrow's show. We're going to be doing that about 2:30 p.m. He's over in Germany at the moment, actually at the Euros, but we will be still sitting down and doing our usual show. So if you've got anything you want us to discuss in that show, any questions you want to fire in at us, any opinions, comments you want to give us that you want us to sort of bring up and talk about in the show, then get down into the comments and do exactly that. Like I said, about 2:30 p.m. UK time, we are recording that today. So if you want your questions or your comments discussed, then you need to get them down there in the comments boxes before 2:30 p.m. UK, or actually probably about before 2 p.m. in fact, UK time. So do that. But let's get going in today's show, shall we? Lots of questions and comments, like I said. And I just wanted to bring up this one because this is from Tom, who says, "Hi, Charles. Do you think Havertz in midfield is still a possibility with the news on Osimhen ramping up? And if we can use Rice as 6, which now does seem like a logical solution, I have a feeling that Havertz will come back into midfield." First of all, on Havertz, no, I don't think so. I think Havertz starts as Arsenal's number 9 next season. I'd be very, very surprised if that's not the case. But I wanted to talk more about Osimhen here because I've been getting lots and lots of questions on it over the last 2-3 days or so, which I haven't brought up because I just thought that it was kind of a given, really. But just to sort of state what I've stated before, I'm sure you've seen all the Osimhen stuff doing the rounds, and there has been a lot of speculation about it in the last 2 or 3 days. But I wouldn't be getting too excited about it. All I can say is the information that I have on it, and I've given this information out before as well, is that as far as I'm aware, there is going to be no blockbuster superstar type signing. That's the message that's been filtering out from people at Arsenal ahead of the window. And obviously that might be a ploy, it might be a smokescreen, and who knows, they might go and do it, but I'm not expecting it to happen. And Osimhen, I would certainly include as one of those superstar stroke blockbuster type signings. So the information that I have, which is all I can go on right now, is that I'm not sitting here expecting Arsenal to move for Osimhen. I know there's reports in Italy at the moment suggesting otherwise. I've seen, a bid is imminent and all that sort of stuff. But it's just nothing there's nothing that I've heard to substantiate that. So I wouldn't be getting too excited about the prospect of Osimhen. Obviously, we know that Napoli kind of need to sell him to get money to fund their rebuild this summer under Conte. But the release clause they have for Osimhen is huge. And I just do not see Arsenal going anywhere near that. Obviously, if suddenly Napoli go out to the market and say, look, to all interested parties, and we know Arsenal have inquired and spoken about Osimhen before. His agent's been at the training ground. I know that for a fact. There's definitely been discussions there. So there is interest there. But unless Napoli go out to the market and say, right, to all you interested clubs, we're getting rid of that release clause. You don't have to go near that. Half price, get Osimhen, come in, you can sign him for, a much more achievable fee. Then maybe that would change Arsenal's mind. But this is just me, that's not, I haven't been told that. I'm just thinking maybe that would change Arsenal's mind and suddenly this big market opportunity arises that they decide, oh, this is too good to turn down. Let's go and get him. That's the only way I can see anything like that happening. But right now, as it stands, and certainly from the information that I've got, I wouldn't be getting too excited about the prospect of Victor Osimhen coming to Arsenal this summer. But who knows? Still got plenty of time left in this transfer window, and nothing would surprise me anymore when it does come to football. But at the moment, it's not one that I'm expecting to happen. Okay, there's a couple here from Aaron and Chucks who were both obviously watching the Portugal versus Czech Republic game. Another good game, exciting ending. Anyway, to that one, Portugal snatching it right at the death, and Pedro Neto, a player who you all know that I'm a massive, massive fan of, came on and helped create the winner for Conceição, the Porto winner, of course, who we saw play against Arsenal last season in the Champions League. Two substitutes came on about a minute to go and then combined to score the injury time winner. Not a bad substitution from Roberto Martinez. And yeah, Aaron's got in touch with Charles. Have you seen Neto's performance yesterday? Just what Arsenal lacks and needs. He is injury prone, but currently I can't think of a better winger who we can sign who is Premier League proven and fits into the Arsenal category. Created an assist out of nothing. That's what Arsenal surely wants. I don't mean Arsenal should go all out and try and sign Neto, but it'd be a shame if we don't initiate any talks or negotiations either. And Chuck says, Charles, we need to go and get Neto. What a player. He's going to instantly elevate our all-round game, I presume that is supposed to mean. And yeah, look, Neto was only on the pitch for a few minutes yesterday, but he did what he had to do when he was sent on. And you all know how much of a big fan I am of Neto. I would love him. As you say, he is perfect for Arsenal. He's got everything that they need right now. Pedro Neto has. But the injury record is a concern. It is a worry. And as I've said before, the last hamstring injury he suffered made me finally think, oh, maybe we shouldn't risk it. Maybe it would be too much. It would be too frustrating to sign him, spend money on him, and then him not be around all season because of injury. But you take those injuries out of it, and he is absolutely perfect, 100% for what Arsenal need. He's got pace. He can play on both wings. He scores goals. He creates goals. He's everything that Arsenal need, and he's a player that we know that they've been following and they like. So, look, I would be slightly concerned because of the injuries if Arsenal were to go out and do it once the Euros is over. But I would also be hugely, hugely excited as well that if they can get him and he can stay injury-free, then he would make a massive impact in this Arsenal squad and on this Arsenal team. I have no doubts about that whatsoever. Elsewhere, news doing the rounds, Joshua Zirkzee, player that we know Arsenal have looked at and have been interested in the past. Lots of talk right now that Manchester United are beginning to make moves to potentially get a deal done from him for Bologna. There is a little bit of doubt in Italy as well about whether that will happen and whether Bologna are hoping that Man United's interest might sort of persuade Milan to get a deal done for him as well. The issue is with Zirkzee apparently is about the agent, who is Kia Joorabchian, of course, an agent that Arsenal know very, very well and have worked with an awful lot of times. And his commission fee is certainly generating a lot of headlines in Italy, and that's said to be what's holding up Milan getting the deal done because they don't want to pay the commission fee that Joorabchian is asking for. Man United have now come into the mix for it. Whether they'd want to pay the fee that Joorabchian is asking for, who knows? But certainly seems like Zirkzee could well be on the move this summer, but at the moment, not looking like Arsenal are going to firm up the interest that they have in him. That interest is there, and I know it's there, but it looks like they're taking a bit of a sort of backwards sort of step from it at the moment, and others are heading the race for Joshua Zirkzee. From one striker to another, this one is an Arsenal striker, of course, Mika Biereth, who we know's future is very much up in the air going into the summer window. Had a really good loan spell at Sturm Graz last summer. They want to sign him. Sheffield Wednesday have a long-term interest in him. They tried to get him on loan last season before he went to Sturm Graz. They're interested in him as well. Only got a year left in his contract. No real indication that he wants to sign a new contract. In fact, he said before he doesn't want to come back and sit on the bench, which he would do at Arsenal. So the expectation is that he's going to go. Now, Andreas Schücker, who is a director of football at Sturm Graz, has been speaking about it. And he says, now the European Championships are coming up. Everyone is waiting and everyone is in the role of an observer. He's talking about sort of football directors here. Patience is required in this transfer window this year. But I'm in talks with Arsenal. I've spoken to Mika and he's always felt comfortable with us. So talks ongoing between Sturm Graz and Arsenal for Mika Biereth. Interesting there from Schücker, where he talks about how patience is required in this transfer window because of the European Championships. You know, that's one sporting director of a club, but all sporting directors are going to be in exactly the same boat when it comes to that. And as we've said many times on this channel, and I've been speaking, and when my guest has been speaking, who very much know all about how it works in the transfer window, there is going to need to be a bit of patience this summer because of the tournaments, not just the Euros, but the Copa America as well. The deals that clubs are hoping to make happen are just going to be a little bit delayed. And this is even, Mika Biereth's not even involved in the Euros, but it's still it still could have a knock-on effect because of where people are and what it's just. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting summer because of the international competitions, and patience is going to be a little bit needed. Right, back to some of your questions now. Dominic here says, "Hi Charles, surely us Arsenal must go for Kvaratskhelia. Could get him for 80 million. He has the potential to be an elite player. This would give Arsenal the option to use Martinelli as a forward or on the right wing. We need no need for a striker this window. Here's a player that would put fear into the elite side, something we have lacked since Alexis Sanchez." Look, I don't think anyone would complain if Arsenal went out and tried to sign Kvaratskhelia from Napoli, but you know, he would be hugely expensive, and B, there is certainly a sense that PSG, if he does go anywhere, it's probably going to end up being at PSG. Now, there's lots of sort of to-ing and fro-ing between his agent and Napoli at the moment. We saw that just a couple of days ago when the agents came out and said he's going to leave Napoli. We don't want to stay. We want to go. We're going to wait until after the Euros. Napoli then came out and issued a statement saying that, you know, he's a Napoli player. We're not going to sell him. Kvaratskhelia was asked about it yesterday after the game against Turkey, and he said, look, I'm just focused on Georgia, nothing else at the moment. We'll talk about it all after the Euros. So his future is very much up in the air, and things are going to have to be sorted out with Napoli once the European Championships is finished. And he would, you know, like Neto, he'd be perfect for Arsenal, no doubt about it. He is that sort of game-changing player, that X-Factor type player that we know Arsenal are hunting for in the summer transfer window. But I just think the money that would probably involved to get him out of Napoli would be pretty preventative potentially for Arsenal. Yeah, not definitely. You know, Arsenal have plenty of money. They could probably buy him if they wanted to, really wanted to. But it certainly sounds like PSG would right now be the more likely option as a replacement for Kylian Mbappe for him rather than Arsenal. But look, Dominic, 100%, you know, I'd be well up for Arsenal moving for him, no doubt about it. Okay, Vet Power has been in touch now. He says, keeping Partey is an absolute no-brainer for me. And Nana has all the raw attitudes. I think that's probably attributes, isn't it? But I have doubts about his football intelligence, which makes it hard to be versatile. Zubimendi is probably the opposite, but he takes longer to adapt to England. Bruno is expensive. Douglas Luiz isn't tall enough. The more time you spend thinking about our current transfer needs, you realise we are fishing in the smallest of ponds. Odegaard and Partey starting the season refreshed and rested is absolutely key. As always, Vet Power, very good observations there. We were talking about Partey yesterday in the sort of reaction show to the fixture list and how tough those opening fixtures were. And we had a commenter, I can't remember the name, apologies, who said, look, Partey is going to be so important for those opening 5-6 games of the season. And you know, I said, I absolutely agreed. You know, Partey's got no he's had a couple of games for Ghana in the last couple of weeks or so, but now he's got a full summer off. He's going to come back at the start of pre-season. He's going to be ready to go. He's going to go to the US tour, you know, providing there's no injuries sustained during the US tour or during pre-season. He is going to have a full pre-season and should be absolutely on it, ready to go at the start of the new Premier League campaign. And when you look at how Declan Rice's summer is going to be disrupted, how Jorginho's summer is going to be disrupted, we don't know what's going to happen in the transfer market when it comes to Arsenal signing a midfielder. Thomas Partey could be absolutely essential. So, as I said yesterday, unless a really decent, attractive offer comes in for him this summer, which we'll wait and see if that does arrive from Saudi Arabia or not. We know there is interest there, but nothing's materialised in terms of an offer yet. You know, unless it is a really decent one, then it just makes sense for me. Keep Thomas Partey, use him. Fingers crossed, yes, that he stays fit, because there's always going to be that doubt in your mind when it comes to Thomas Partey and his injuries. But fingers crossed he stays fit and he can have a huge role to play next season. And then probably he would go for free at the end of his contract. But I still do think he's got a lot to give for Arsenal this season, and definitely the start of the season, given he's going to be one of the few players in that midfield to have a proper summer break. I think he could be really important over those opening weeks. So thanks very much, Vet Para, for your comment there. Callum Spooner now next up says, how come I've barely heard Frankie de Jong mentioned as our midfield solution? World class at both 6 and 8. Barcelona need to sell, and he's mentioned wanting to join Arsenal in the past. He is the obvious choice. Well, Callum, you can't have watched much of this channel because plenty of times people have mentioned Frankie de Jong as a perfect option for Arsenal. I've spoken about it. James Benge speaks about it on Extra Time regularly. Sam Dean, when he's been on here, has said it'd be absolutely perfect for him. And you're right, he is perfect for Arsenal. But in terms of why maybe nothing's going to happen with Frankie de Jong when it comes to Arsenal or anyone else who could look to get him out of Barcelona this summer, and it's stopped Manchester United really being able to push a deal through is because of the wages he's on. He's on huge money at Barcelona. He's one of those contracts that has got Barcelona into all those sort of financial issues that they have right now, and has created the wage bill that Barca have got. And he's on big, big money. So it'd be very hard to put a package together that is tempting for him, tempting enough for him to leave just yet. But, take money out of it, take those wages out of it, and 100%, again, he is perfect for Arsenal. No doubt about that. He's obviously injured at the moment, which is why he's missed the Euros, but I don't think that's an injury that's going to stop him being fit for the start of the season. So yeah, look, for many ways, he is absolutely would be perfect choice for Arsenal when it comes to midfield. But I just think his wages are very preventative when it comes to him actually leaving and someone actually getting him out of Barcelona. Okay, here's one from Razbazari. I think it is. Says, I wonder whether Arteta can incorporate Sambi Lokonga into the midfield. He needs some development, but there is a good player in there somewhere. Well, it's not just some in there somewhere. He showed last season when he was on loan, didn't he, for Luton? There is definitely a good player in there. Made a really big impression in the Premier League. Played very well. Was hugely popular at Luton. Was making an impression elsewhere. Jurgen Klopp, didn't he? Singled him out for praise ahead of Liverpool's game against Luton, how well he's been doing. But Sammy Lokonga's already come out and said earlier on in the summer, pretty much as soon as the season ended, that he sat down with Arsenal and Arsenal had told him that he could, he could move on. And so it's going to be a case of Arsenal trying to find a move for him and Sammy Lokonga's agent trying to find a move for him at the moment. So I don't see a way Arteta is going to incorporate him into the midfield, because it's already been made clear to Sammy that his future is probably best served elsewhere. So, decent player. I just don't think he's got it yet to be a success at Arsenal. It's not that he didn't get opportunities when he was at Arsenal. He got plenty. He just didn't make the most of it when he had those opportunities at Arsenal. And I just think he looks a little bit too young, a little bit too restricted when he plays, restricted in himself. I mean, when he plays, to really, I just never saw that personality. I never saw a player really expressing himself when he was at Arsenal. He always felt a bit restricted and playing within himself. And yeah, it's not really a criticism. That's just a young player who maybe made the move a little bit too early to a club of the stature at Arsenal. I think he needs to go away, get some game time, play somewhere else, and then really kick on his career, because I think he's a good player. I just don't think it's going to be at Arsenal in the long term. But thank you very much for your question. And thank you to everyone for getting in touch. Appreciate your time as always. Like I said at the start, I am sitting down with Team News and Ticks a little bit later on today. So if you want to get a question or a comment included in that show, then get into the comments box below, fill it out, and I will pull some of them together and get them included. But you have to do it probably. We're filming at 2:30 p.m. UK time today. The show's going out tomorrow, so it's a pre-recorded show again. But we're filming at 2:30 p.m. today. So get your questions or comments in by 2 p.m. to have a chance of getting it into the show. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day today. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.